Hey everyone, GamerJlee here, and welcome back to another video. And today, wow, my sub box got blown up, my Twitter got blown up, my Facebook got blown up, everything just got blown the fuck up. Because today, Sony came out and announced two new things, and we're basically going to only be talking about one of them really. They announced the brand new PlayStation 4 Slim and the brand new PlayStation 4 Pro. Yes, it is no longer called the Neo, it is called the PlayStation 4 Pro. And with all honesty, I'm gonna say this now, I prefer the name Neo over Pro, because Neo seems a lot more unique. It feels a little bit more special than Pro does, because Pro just makes me feel like it's just, you know, just an upgrade. Like, I guess, like, it just doesn't feel nearly as special as, you know, the name Neo does. But as you guys can see, I've got some images coming across the screen right now, and I wanted to talk about today the spec comparison between the PlayStation 4 Neo or the Pro and the PlayStation 4 Original. So I'm gonna head on over to the actual original specs for the PlayStation 4, and it had basically some pretty, you know, decent specs back whenever it originally came out. It had for the CPU, it had a low power x86 64 AMD Jaguar 8-core processor. For GPU, it had a 1.8 teraflops AMD next gen Radeon based graphics card engine, or graphics engine, which I don't even know if we ever found out what exactly the graphics card was. I could be wrong, I could be right. I have no clue. I'm just going off of what I could find on websites, because every website I went to try and get the PlayStation 4 specs was filled with like ads and like basically a bunch of garbage that I didn't need to read. And then with the memory, it came with a GDDR5 8GB of RAM, and then you have for the hard drive a 500GB hard drive. Now it also had a Blu-ray drive, 2 USB ports. I'm not going to go through too much besides, you know, those base specs, but we go over to the PlayStation Pro. We have a x86 64 AMD Jaguar 8-core processor, which basically sounds like it's the same processor. Kind of confusing, but okay, it might be improved on. You know, we're not exactly sure. Then for the GPU, now here's the big difference: 4.2 teraflops AMD Radeon based graphics engine. That's pretty big difference there between 1.84 and 4.2. Jeez, that's pretty beastly of a GPU. That sounds good. Okay, you caught my interest there. For memory, we have GDDR5 8GB of RAM, so that is looking pretty interesting. Same amount of RAM, but usually when it comes to gaming PCs or consoles, that's like all you need for gaming is 8 gigs. So hint hint, optimize your games well, and that will work. For the storage size, now this is a little bit disappointing to me, and you know, drives are getting more and more cheaper by one after another, and basically they have a 1 terabyte hard drive. A 1 terabyte hard drive. Now, could they've chipped in for a little bit of a bigger hard drive? Yeah, and the thing is I hope to God this is gonna still be replaceable. Like the PS4's hard drive is replaceable. I hope the same thing's gonna be able to happen with this, because if so, I'm just gonna take my 3 terabyte hard drive out of my PS4 that I currently have and put it inside the PS4 Pro when I pick it up, because the honest truth is I'm gonna pick this up. This really is basically looking like something I'm really wanting to pick up, and honestly, hopefully it will improve what they can do on the PS4. Now, the one thing is that with this enhancement, there should be no excuse for games to not be 60 FPS. Now, that's the thing that is kind of killing consoles, is that people want those 60 FPS experiences. A lot of people do. but a lot of game developers are saying, oh, it's not possible on this, current hardware. Well, with this upgrade, it should be, because honestly, it's got to. It really does, because the honest, truth is that, if it doesn't get 60 FPS after this, then it's kind of going to be depressing, because literally you've got basically almost like triple the power of the original PS4 in this thing, and when it comes to the GPU, and yet if you couldn't pull off 60 FPS, that's just sad. So hopefully we don't run into any CPU bottlenecks, but with an 8-core processor you should be fine. I'm not exactly sure if this is a newer processor or if this is exactly the same exact one that we have had since the PS4 originally. It's looking pretty good. And here's the thing, the console only costs $399, so as much as the original PS4 cost, and I'm okay with that pricing. That price point has always been the sweet spot for consoles, and if it went past that, then there would be a problem, because I would just say fuck it, I'm gonna stay with console, or stay with PC, because at $600 you might as well just buy a PC. When it gets to that point, you should just buy a PC and go from there. But they're sticking around the $400 price point, and it's looking pretty well with this. It's not perfect, but it does look pretty interesting. Honestly, we have to see what the Xbox One S or not the Xbox One S, but Project Scorpio is going to do for its price point, because we had the announcement of it at E3 earlier this year, and the thing is right now we're just waiting on a price point, because now Sony has come out. They said, here's our price point, $399. It will be coming out this November, which is pretty awesome. And Microsoft, the ball is in your court. You got to show us what you can do with the price point of the Xbox Scorpio, or Project Scorpio or whatever, because if it doesn't compete with that $400 price point, it's not going to be looking good for Microsoft. And it also depends on what kind of hardware they stick in there. Is it going to be able to compete with the Scorpio? So basically, I think they talked about the specs a little bit of the Scorpio back at E3. I'm not exactly sure, but I can't remember off the top of my head as I'm trying to record this. But the honest truth is that it's going to be a battle between these two companies to see who, produces the better, hardware, who produces the better price for the consumer, and, what kind of stuff they're going to be bringing to this, whole console war, because now it's them and, Nintendo, which, right now they aren't looking too hot, because we still haven't seen too much about the NX, and that thing's coming right around the corner next year. So what's bugging me is we haven't seen too much about NX, and they're not, saying much. So they're basically, what the smart thing for them to do is right now for Nintendo, I'm just going to say this, is still don't release your specs. As soon as you find out what, Scorpio's pulling out, what, Sony's pulling out, so on and so forth, go ahead, go back to the drawing board, upgrade that, and then release it and fuck them all over. Go ahead, take your time, and make that console, make Scorpio and the Pro your bitch. That's all I can say to Nintendo is, Nintendo, you need a win right now. And unless you do something amazing, unless you make that console, something that's worth getting third-party games for, the NX is going to be a flop. And when it's competing against this kind of hardware, you need this. So I'm going to say this again, Nintendo, wait, do your research on what they're doing, try and build off of that, and make it happen. Alright everyone, so I just wanted to do this quick video about the PlayStation Pro and basically talk about the specs of it, because we just found this out today. If you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you dislike this video, go ahead and leave a dislike. If you have any information that I missed out on that maybe you can inform me about, let me know down in the comments below. And as always guys, GamerJlee signing out.